Hello, my name's Andrew Brooks. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is all about George Harrison's appearances on other people's records, and I found something new. Hello, and thank you for joining me once again on my YouTube channel. As I said in the intro, this is all about George's appearances on other people's records. I mean, obviously there's hundreds of records that he appeared on for other people. So I've sort of narrowed it down to two or three that I thought you might be interested in. And also there's one quite topical due to the day, and also one that I don't think many of you out there will have heard of before. So enjoy. First of all, let's just get all of the usual stuff out of the way. Thank you very much for subscribing, all the thumbs ups. The subscription numbers have gone up again, which is always good. And thank you very much for all the comments. Now, I do read every single comment that you send in, and I do respond to the ones that I think need responding to. Okay, so not every single one, but I do respond to the ones that I think need a response. So anyway, let's move on. Let's go back in time to the late 80s, 87, 88 sort of time. George was having a bit of a renaissance with Cloud 9 and all of that sort of stuff that was going on previous, and he's been asked to sort of contribute to other people's records, and this has gone on ever since the Beatles were together, because he obviously appeared on lots of other records even while he was still in the Beatles. So let's get my trusty notes. The first one we're going to go to is from 1988. Now I know might have covered this before, and I know a few other people were like, oh, I've never heard of this one before. So let's go back to an artist called Sylvia Griffin. Now, she was part of a band in the 80s, early 80s, called Kissing the Pink. I can't say I can name any of their songs. And unfortunately, this single also died without a trace. I'll show you the cover. It comes as a CD single, which is what I've got. There's also a 7-inch single and a 12-inch single. It's called Sylvia Griffin, and it's called Love's a State of Mind. As I say, it came out in 88. Now, George only appears on one of the tracks, and that's the title track. There's two others on here. But interestingly, he also appears on here with Robbie McIntosh from Paul's band. So, there's another little link there. I'll show you the B-side, and I'll take my time, because people do say, oh, you turn it round too quick. So that's the back of it, and as you can see, somewhere around here, guitar, George Harrison. Now, Sylvia Griffin, to my knowledge, has disappeared without a trace. I've never heard of her before, never heard of her since. I don't recall of any of her other songs. However, interesting story. You may ask, how come George landed up on this sort of unknown person single? So the story is that Elton John's wife at the time, Renata, I've got here, Blow, I think was her surname, but anyway, it was Renata, Elton John's wife, decided to dabble in sort of music management, and she was a friend of Sylvia Griffin, and she decided to be Sylvia Griffin's manager. So she sort of dabbling her toes, and I'm guessing she must have asked Elton about some information regarding how to be a record manager or a band manager or artist manager. And obviously she needed to get a record out. She asked Elton, does he know anyone who might have a studio that they could use at short notice? This was from what I've read from the internet, so we'll take it with a pinch of salt. Elton has then come back with, I don't really know of any studios. However, I do have a friend who has a home studio, and I'm sure he would oblige, that friend being George Harrison. So from what I gather, Sylvia Griffin recorded this track at Friar Park Studios, George's studios in Henley-on-Thames. And I'm guessing, this is my guess, is that George is there, obviously, it's his studio, so why wouldn't he be there? And he's then decided to add a little bit of guitar to this track, It's worth tracking down, even for collectability items. It's not bad. It's all right. It's an 80s pop tune at the end of the day by an unknown 80s artist. But if you can find one of these, or the 7-inch single, or the 12-inch single, unfortunately, this is the only one I've ever managed to track down. I know they are available on Discogs and eBay and stuff like that. So good luck if you want to go out there. But I like hunting for things in the wild. I love going to shops, record shops, and finding them. So yeah, Sylvia Griffin, Loves the State of Mind. It's on Phonogram Records. That's the serial number, catalogue number. I'll put that there for you to see. Hopefully you can read that. So that's the first one to track down of today's 3. Okay, and next up, we've got one now that probably most of you have heard of if you're George Harrison collectors. It's by a female artist called Belinda Carlisle. She used to be in the Go-Go's, and she released an album in 1989 called Runaway Horses. Now, on this album, there are 2 tracks that George appears on. The first one, which was the single, probably the one that most people will know, is called Leave a Light On For Me. And there was a 7-inch single of that. Here it is, just showing you now. So that's the picture cover. Sorry about the glare from the cover. And that's the reverse of it. So that's Belinda Carlisle, Leave a Light On For Me, 7-inch single. There was also a 12-inch single of it as well, which is this one here. It has an extended version of the song. That's the back of it there. Now, as I say, these were taken from the album. There is also a second track that George appeared on. He plays slide guitar on Leave a Light On For Me. But on the album, there's a track called Deep Deep Ocean, which is on side 2. If I can show you there. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway. And he appears on that, but on that one he's playing guitar and bass, which was quite interesting. 12-string guitar actually, and a bass guitar on the Deep Deep Ocean. Now apparently George was quite happy to participate in Belinda's recordings because he really liked her voice by all accounts. However, he had forgotten her name in an interview later on with Eric Clapton, and someone asked him, what's the best guitar solo you've ever done? And he says, I did one for some girl singer, and I can't remember her name, but it was like the best one I've ever done. And then Eric Clapton sort of gives him a nudge and goes, I think that was Belinda Carlisle, or something like that anyway. So so George was quite happy to provide the guitar for Belinda Carlisle's songs. As I say, he played slide on Leave a Light On For Me, and 12-string and bass on Deep Deep Ocean. Now, here's the one that not a lot of people probably know about. Leave a Light On For Me was actually reissued. It only came out I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks after the original single came out. But this time it appeared on the B-side of another Belinda Carlisle song called La Lune, or La Luna, which I guess is the moon. But the B-side, as you can see there, Leave a Light On For Me, but it's a different mix. It's a kamikaze mix. I thought, wow, hang on a minute, I've just found a remix of a George track that we didn't know anything about, because I just stumbled. I'll tell you the story how I stumbled across this. My local record shop, they always keep an eye open for Beatles oddities for me, because they know I go for the odd sort of stuff these days. And he pulled out, I said, have you got Belinda Carlisle? And he says, I've got some by her. And he pulls out this one called Lala, and he says, on the back it's the one you're looking for. And I'm like, really? I didn't realise it was a B-side. So anyway, I got it. It was like 10p or something he let me have it for. And when I got home and checked it, sure enough, it says kamikaze mix. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to have to check this out. So I played both copies, the original single and the B-side. Now, there is a difference in the mix of the actual song. However, George's guitar solo stays untouched. It is the same, 35-second long guitar solo that appeared on the 12-inch single and the regular 7-inch single. However, for all you completists out there, I don't have the picture sleeve, but there is a different picture sleeve for La Luna. But for all you completists out there, I'm afraid you're going to go and have to hunt this one down now. There's no real difference to the George's solo, but if you want everything, which I know some people do, you're going to have to get a copy of that. But I found that quite interesting that I had never even heard of a remix. So that was a nice surprise. Don't get many nice surprises when I pop into record shops these days. Okay, and now we come on to the current one, the topical one. Unfortunately today, on the news, I read that David English had died. Now, probably a lot of you are going, David English, who's David English? He does have a Beatle connection through George. He was an author who wrote a series of books all about cricket called the Bunbury Tales. Now, Bunbury, I believe, is a place in Australia, but I'm not sure it's anything to do with that. The Bunbury Tales by David English were like stories about cricket and the England cricket team. I believe Ian Buntham instead of Ian Botham. You know, Viv Richards was also included in these books, which later got made into a TV series for UK Channel 4. Now, I have to be honest, I've never ever seen the TV series, and I've only ever seen what I'm about to show you is a CD of the soundtrack music from said Channel 4 program. As you can see down the bottom there, it says Channel 4 TV, and it's called the Bunbury Tales. Now, as I say, unfortunately, David English, who wrote the Bunbury Tales, died yesterday. However, on this CD, you have the Bee Gees, okay, Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch with the Legend of Xanadu, they're classic. You've also got Shack Attack, Eric Clapton, Kathy Dennis, Level 42, Elton John, and George Harrison. Yeah, you probably already spotted his name up there. On here, he has a song called Ride Rajbun. And it's George with Danny playing. I think Danny sings on the chorus, and with Ravi Shankar. Now, I suspect it's Danny that has got George involved in this somehow. Probably he used to watch the Bunbury Tales on TV because he was probably of that age where he'd have probably liked it. I don't know. I'm only surmising here. But yeah, so you've got George, Danny and Ravi Shankar all appearing on Ride Rajbun. Now, I did a little bit of research about this. So that CD came out in on the 5th of October in 1992. Okay, and interestingly, it was the first song to feature only Indian instrumentation since The Inner Light. Get that? Okay, George has had Indian instrumentation on other things, but just to feature purely nothing but Indian instrumentation since The Inner Light. Yeah, 1968 or 67, whenever it was. So that's quite a long time, and it's quite an interesting little fact there. And now, this took 4 days to record, Ride Rajbun for here, and he then left for LA where the Wilburys started, and obviously that's another George Harrison story. But yeah, I thought as this is a topical sort of story with a George contribution story attached to it, I thought I'd include it in today's video. So what have we had? We've had Bunbury Tales, we've got Belinda Carlisle, and the one everyone needs to try and track down, Sylvia Griffin, Loves a State of Mind. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.